So we already know the logic behind this exercise because previously we already solved it by using loops, right? And all that we have to do now is to change the structure of the loop and to use, instead of a while loop, we have to use a for loop. So let's create our two variables, the number itself, so int num, and the power. And also we need to create another variable that will hold the final result and will help us with the calculations in the loop. And this variable will be, of course, the result. So int result equals to 1. And in the previous challenge, we explained why this variable, this result, initialized with the value of 1. So if you don't remember, go back to the previous challenge and make sure you get the whole idea behind it. And now let's also create the variable I, so int I, and this variable is required for us when we are going to use the for loop. So we're creating this variable that will help us using the for loop structure in C. Alright, and now let's read these values from the user. So enter num, pretty much the same as we've done previously. Enter num, then we are going to scanf %d and put it inside num. And the same we are going to do also for the power. Enter power. I guess I'm typing a little bit faster than it would be if I just copied and paste and then I need to change it. So yeah, I think it is even better and actually it's more safe. So we are using it in this way. We are reading the first number, then we are reading the power. And now what we are going to do is to get down to our loop. And the first thing that you have to do is to write the for statement. Then you are going to specify the initialization of the variable I. All right, this let's put it to be I equals to 1. This line, this command will be executed only once when we reach this line, the line 15, for the first time. This line will not be executed every time on every iteration, all right? Only the first time. This is the initialization section of this for loop. So we initialized 1 to be equals to 1, and then we are going to specify, let's specify the condition until when we are going to execute this loop. So until we reach I is less than or equals to the power, and every time on every iteration, we are going to increment I by 1. So the same way as we've done previously with the while loops, just that now we are writing it in the for loop structure. So here is the first initialization. This line will be executed on every end of every iteration. So we are going to execute, first of all, the loop body. Here is going to be the loop body. Once it's executed, you are going to run this command. And if you want to execute the loop body on every iteration before you enter the loop body, you are going to make sure that this condition is satisfied and the result of it is true. So as long as I is less than the power entered by the user, we are going to execute this loop body. And in the loop body itself, it's going to be pretty straightforward. We are just going to use result equals to result. This is the previous result. This is the new result that we are going to receive. So the previous result multiplied by num, right? Every time we multiply num by num, multiplied by num, and so on. And we keep the current result, and then we multiply the current result by num to get a new updated result. That's how the power mathematical function works. So on each iteration, we are going to multiply it, then increase the I by 1, check that the condition is satisfied, and then run the loop body once again until we reach some time that this condition happens to be false. Alright, so now all that we have to do is, once we get out of this loop, is just to print the result. And just like we did it previously, let's use something like this. Printf %d, this is the number in the power, right? It was something like this, of %d equals to %d. And that's actually what the calculator is giving you, just not written like this. It's %d and the power of %d equals to the result itself. And here we are going to specify the values that are going to be placed instead of these percentage d's, right? Instead of these placeholders. So first of all comes the num, then we have the pow, and then we have the result of them, which is held in the result variable. And there you go. You can build and run this program to make sure that it works. So let's do it. Let's save it and build and run it. Okay, here we go. Oh, so here we have an error. Let's see what it says. Let's see what it says. And you can see here, if we take a closer look, that in line 15 we are trying to use pow variable, which is undeclared. Why is it undeclared? Oh, because we defined it as power and not pow. So let's just modify it to be something like that. Okay, so now we have pow, pow, and pow. Previously, if we used power, if we used here pow, we didn't specify, we didn't declare this variable nowhere, because it was just power, and it's a totally different variable, right? Its name, it's not the same, and totally the compiler does not understand what we want. So now let's try to build and run it, and so build and run, and let's make our previous example. So 2 in the power of 3 should give us 8, so let's press enter, and 2 in the power of 3 gives us 8, and also we can make sure that 5 in the power of 5, let's see, it should be, yeah, it should be something like that. So this is it for this video, guys, and the whole point was just to show you that we can solve the same task, find the number in the power, given a number in its power, we can solve it in 2 different ways, using the while loops or the for loops. Both of them solve this exercise, but you should go with just one of them in this case, in this type of challenges. And which one of them should it be?